John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down!
Come on.
Ready, down, set, hut, 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 hut!
Booyah! That's what we call a sacked lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
All right, welcome. It is the Eskridge Lexus Postgame podcast. Eddie Radosevich and I, we are driving back, actually. Very dangerous situation.
It's the mobile unit. It's like a mobile unit is what it is.
It's midnight.
It's
right
Mobile
at
Scoop
midnight.
HD.
It's right at midnight. I've got my second wind. We just heard LSU lose to Auburn. Also, a little Bush machine head kind of got me going a little bit.
Things are not going well for Edo. It's gonna be a
Eddie has
very
another
quick
medical
end.
condition, apparently.
I think I was dying today. I don't know what happened.
You had a day of blue balls, apparently.
I have no idea. It's not it, but it wasn't just. No, I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, we are sitting in a gas station parking lot. We're doing that for one reason. We got to let this car pass because I am in my own Eskridge Lexus IS350 F Sport performance package. And we thought we would see what it sounded like on the pod if I just gunned it in the super sport mode. So, are you ready?
Yeah, I think so. Just don't kill us.
God damn it, people, stop. We're going to go fast, all right? We're going to go very fast, and you can't just pull out like a grandma. Okay, so here's my Eskridge Lexus
I feel like Jeff Gordon.
F Sport IS350 with the performance package being gunned onto the highway. I better stop at 90 because the cops will probably get us.
That was exhilarating, wasn't it?
It wasn't, it's not like Tesla acceleration, which I hate because it's like you feel like you need spinal surgery after it's over. Oh, shit, there's a cop. You won't get me. Hopefully he's not coming for me.
No, it's on the other side. We'll just keep going, though, if they do
Let me put it in
end up
regular mode,
coming
so we
after
go
us.
Eco. Are those lights getting bigger? No.
No, he's on the other side.
Okay.
He's on the north end.
So, here we are. Sooners win it today. It can't ever just go according to plan.
I know. Like, once you were able to breathe a little bit and, OU has built a 17-point lead in the second half, it's like, okay, everything's kind of gone to plan. And then all of a sudden, bing, bang, boom, and OU's having to basically recover onside to hold on to their lives. But I will say, though, it's like, as weird as the game was, and we'll get into the atmosphere and stuff like that at Bill Snyder Stadium or Family Stadium, because I thought it was a great crowd. It was one of the better crowds.
Even from the press box, I could tell it was fantastic.
Loud.
Pissed off.
A lot. Yes, very, like.
You said at one point you were scared for your own life.
It was, after the overturn of the onside, it was like one of those moments, like people were throwing shoes onto the field. I got a good picture of myself holding like one of the shoes. But it was just a weird day and another kind of, I guess just it's how the season has gone, isn't it, Carey? It's like through 5 games, it's been just really, really strange.
I mean, I think Lincoln Riley wanted to fight with me in the post-game press conference.
There's a little contention there.
I mean, look, I was trying to.
I know what you meant.
The fact that, and I did, tell him last couple of years, like last year and this year is what I meant. But I mean, they scored in their first 5 possessions, Eddie. I mean, and they had 3 possessions in the first half, barely, and they get the ball after, what was it, a minute and a half, and they take it down and get it in Gabe Burke, like, not even in Burkage field goal range. They got it in like, what's the kicker we all hated?
Well, I didn't hate him.
Jimmy
but
Stevens.
I was going to. No, Jimmy.
kicking range.
I thought you were going to say Austin Seibert. Yeah, but in the second and third quarter, Oklahoma outgained Kansas State 308 by 308 yards and outscored them 24-2 or 24-10 in those two periods. So it was a lot like what I think a lot of people thought this Oklahoma offense was going to look like. And I know that there were some things, within the game that it just simply like they got to clean up the penalties, they got to clean up a lot of the stuff up front, but it was a step in the right direction.
Well, it was. Offensively, especially, you got to see Kennedy Brooks, which he didn't run the ball until the last play of the first quarter. But when he did, it went for 15 yards. But they got him involved. You got to see him be the main focus of the running game. And something else you saw today, Eddie, you got to see Lincoln Riley use Jeremiah Hall as a weapon on offense. We haven't seen that all season long. 2 touchdowns for Jeremiah Hall. I was shocked to see that. Somebody said that was his first touchdown, and that wasn't wasn't true. Touchdown. His
first rushing touchdown. Okay,
he had
that makes sense.
Pass touchdowns, receiving touchdowns before that.
Yeah, I knew that they had used him out in the flats a couple times, but yeah, like it's good to see the H-back room get a little bit more love. Austin Stogner looked good at times. Braden Willis, little dump-off pass. If there's anything that we can say about this offensive performance today, and Spencer Rattler, 22 of 25 on the afternoon, it's that they made it a point to get him out and moving around. Or at least I thought they did.
Well,
this afternoon.
First off, let's go back early. It was a bad day for the We Want Caleb crowd today. He
just took his eyes off of it. I got a great video of it. I was kind of like panned real close in on his face, and he took his eyes off of it.
Well, and he ended up coming back in the game, and we didn't ask Lincoln Riley why he came back in the game for that one play, if it was just something he'd planned to do. It's odd that you decide, okay, we're going to put Caleb Williams in the game when we're on the road, like after what we just went through last week with Spencer and the chanting.
I think that's just like one of those things, isn't it? It's just like that's the package that they want to be able to use at some point.
And do you think that like maybe it was kind of like Lincoln's, I don't know, he kind of sat down with himself, looked himself in the mirror and said, these are the things that I believe in. These are the things that we need to focus on moving forward, which is running the ball, putting Caleb Williams in the game every once in a while, and just getting Spencer in better situations.
Yeah, 100%.
And like Spencer ran the ball well today because the other parts of the running game were working. I mean, it just
100%.
It all clicked. For the first time all season, you felt like the offense was clicking and that there was nothing that Kansas State could do to stop them.
And even with that said, it's one of those things that's like there's still a ton to work on. But it was good to see some of those guys come up with big receptions, and I thought it was kind of funny. We were joking when we were walking into the stadium before the game, seeing the Mims family.
Yeah,
it was very obvious that they wanted to get him involved early in the game today.
Yes, and that's another thing. I believe that Marvin Mims is one of our best players. That would have been something Lincoln sat himself down in the mirror and talked about. My God, we're already at the toll. And they charge us $250 for this. So anyway, the other side of that quickly, just to kind of put a quick recap before we really start breaking things down, Alex Grinch could not have been more pissed off after the game.
That is the maddest I've seen him after a game, or at least after a win in his short time in Norman. I mean, he was irate. He was more than willing and more than ready to throw some guys on. I don't want to say throw some guys under the bus. He was more than willing to, I guess, send some words of encouragement to some of his players because, I mean, where do you want to even begin? I mean,
and here's the thing that, in my experience doing this, when it happens that a coach starts being critical of players to the media, it means he feels like he's done all he can do to reach them behind.
Like a last-ditch effort, yes. Which isn't good. Like, that's not a good situation.
It's not the Isaiah Thomases and the Nick Benitos and all those people. He's mad at the Keyshawn Lawrences, I think. And he's mad. Like, the fact that Jordan Mukes played corner today and got burnt, like, that was a last resort. Like, maybe it's a Joshua Eaton.
Yeah, they went right at him. I didn't even see Eaton out there today. I could have missed him, but
Well, and you noted in the pregame, he didn't even have his cast on today.
yeah, he had the cast off, which kind of made you think like, okay, maybe he's going to get more of an opportunity today. And he was locked in before the game. Just seeing how they like work out, he was like one of the first guys out of the locker room when OU came out for the game. Like onto the field for the actual game after pregame. So it was strange. But
I'll tell you this though. I am here for coaches being pissed off and fighting. Like, Lincoln, you want to fight me every post-media scrum? Let's do it. Like, if that's what it takes to send a message that you guys are pissed off and you're willing to do what has to be done in order to get this team in shape and to get the media in shape. I don't know if you're going to have much luck getting me in shape, but, I mean, look, I don't mind dealing during the season with a bunch of crabby coaches. I'm kind of conditioned to be that way with Bob Stoops.
Well, I think that there's a lot of people that kind of wanted to see that from Alex Grinch. I know that we put up the post game on the board, Carey, and there's a lot of people that are pretty excited about how Alex Grinch handled things after the game, just for the fact that I think it kind of just proves to everybody it's like, okay, yeah, they're I don't want to say like in our corner by any means, but it's like, okay, they're as mad as I am, so that means that there's a positive going on.
Yeah.
Now you say that, and they're going into probably the biggest week of the season, and a little game down in Dallas coming up. So it's gonna.
Thank you very much.
It's gonna be it's a big week.
We're coming out of the toll.
It's kind of chilly out tonight.
It's nice.
It is nice. So like the linebacker thing though, and I DM'd you guys during the game. It's like, can they not get a single player to make a play behind the line of scrimmage? I don't understand how they're getting lost in there. Why they're not making plays? It's like they've regressed in some instances.
By the way, I know some people don't want to hear this. Justin Broyles played a good game.
He played well today.
And I'll say this, like
before the injury.
Yeah, before he got hurt. That's another striking thing about, like, Justin Broyles did some good things in the run game, just like Delarian Turner-Yellow's been doing. And like you're saying, where are the guys in between the defensive linemen and the safeties to make those plays?
They're non-existent.
To not find those players on the field.
There was one play that I remember particularly in the second quarter, and Brian Asamoah was back in the backfield, and he just it was almost like he let the guy run right by him. I don't have really an answer for where those guys are going and just how disappointing that group's been. And I like Brian Odom a lot. It seems like they're just not making plays right now.
Well, and like you said, Brian Asamoah made a lot of strides last year, and he did some nice things in the West Virginia game. We talked about it on the Isaiah Thomas show, and you see some things from Deshaun White, but it's kind of like everything else, Eddie. Where is the consistency in some of these situations?
Yeah, it's just...
Whether it's the offensive line, the linebackers, the corners, there's consistency problems in a lot of areas.
Yeah, and there is. And, because there are some bright spots. Like at times, I think Shane Whiter plays really well. Witter, whatever. But, and the other thing, it's like, as good as the defensive line has been, Skylar Thompson was a statue back there today, and they just couldn't get to him.
And we were asking Josh about this, or I was, during the game, like, is it, like, on TV, do you get the sense of how immobile Skylar Thompson really is in this game? Because there was a play where he got knocked down late. He had to have people help him get up. And his leg, he had to keep it straight the entire time.
He put his balls on the table today. There's no doubt about that. His nutsack was right there on the table.
Well, and I asked, Alex Grinch about that after the game, just about, how did you guys handle that, not knowing if he was going to play, and did you, think about his mobility and how you might take advantage of that? And his answer was, well, they look like the team that was preparing all week to play us, and we look like the team that didn't prepare at all to play Skylar Thompson.
He basically said that they had an awful week of practice. which has become kind of a theme, has it not, of the defensive side of the football? Like, Alex comes in every Tuesday and just kind of, I don't know, it's almost deflating. It's like, you know that they had a bad week of practice.
I mean, I do think that they're going to go look at that tape and they're going to see a team that was going for it no matter what on every situation and say to themselves, you know, they averaged roughly the same amount of yards per play, both teams did. I think they're going to look at that and not – I mean, like, Alex was just – he was almost devastated after that game was over.
No, he was. He was. I mean, when you're having the conversation the 5th week of the season about we really just need these guys to buy in, trust the coaching, trust what we're telling you, trust what we're putting you in position to do, it seems like that's not happening.
Well, and we saw some frustration from Perry on Winfrey after the game in a now deleted tweet.
Yeah.
Tired of this shit emoji, poop emoji.
Yeah.
But
maybe he's talking about getting held.
I imagine he's talking about getting held. But, I mean, that was another question I asked Alex. Like, are you surprised that you're not getting more individual plays from guys? I mean, Isaiah Thomas had a sack today. He and Nick Medino did some really good things. But, you know, outside of that, you're not seeing a ton of stuff from Perry on Winfrey. You're not seeing – I mean, Jalen Redmond's out. I don't know what happened to Corey Roberson. He was so good a week ago. He was non-existent. He might have been banged up. I don't know. But you saw him trying like Kelvin Gilliam. Isaiah Coe got hurt in the middle of the game. But you're just not seeing those flashes enough. And other than Reggie Grimes, who had the big forced fumble early in the game, like who else on that defensive line is stepping up besides Isaiah? Perry on once in a while because, I mean, he had the sack and the grounding penalty against Daggy last week. And then Nick Benito's making plays. But and Reggie Grimes, I mean, that's 4 people, but 2 of them play the same position.
Yeah, and then you're talking about 4 guys, which kind of makes it even more of a point of like.
I mean, that's 4 more linebackers than they have making plays right now.
Well, that's true. But at the same time, it's like, why keep rotating all these guys if you're only getting play out of 4 of them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that's, you know.
And I think that's
things,
probably.
like, are you going to get as many plays if they're out there just tired as dogs
the
whole time?
That's part of the buy-in process too, though, isn't it?
Well, I think that's why Grinch is so upset, is because he is trying to give guys reps. And today it sounded like it was more, I'm not going to give guys reps unless they earn it in practice.
Sure.
Because what I get is that he is kind of broken his rule maybe and let guys go into games that haven't been practicing well and they still don't do well in games. And, like, somewhere that point was made today. Like, he must have played someone today more reps than he deserved because he wasn't doing it in practice and he still sucked in the game.
Yeah, I wonder who that could be.
Who that is, yeah.
They
Might
just
be multiple people.
Sure. They just
maybe it's Key Lawrence. I mean, he had an interception hit him right in the head.
I mean, some of the stuff, and I think that was the most frustrating thing for Oklahoma and Alex Grinch today was the fact that they cleaned most of the stuff up underneath, and then they just kept getting hit over the top.
Well, and that was another thing that Grinch was like, you know, we're on a national TV broadcast, and you would think that none of us coached anyone to know that they were going to hit Deuce Vaughn out of the backfield.
Alex Grinch had some absolute gems during the postgame press conference today. If you haven't checked it out, get to Crimson Corner, find it somewhere online. Because, that was one of my favorite ones. Like, basically, I look like an asshole out here on national television. I mean, that's basically what he said.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, my team looks like they aren't getting coached at all. And that was kind of like the closing remark was, we got to be better.
Well,
from player to coaches to everybody within the program.
That's 3 straight years where they've struggled against Kansas State.
Tell you what, man,
it's got to be becoming a little bit personal to Alex Grinch.
Sure, he just can't figure it out. He can't figure out what Chris Kleiman's doing to him.
Well, I think it's not just that, but he can't get his players to perform at a high enough level to defend his offenses.
And the crazy thing is it's not like Kansas State does a whole bunch of just crazy shit, right?
You know what's coming.
Like, you know exactly what's coming. They're going to line up, and he's going to
get the ball to Deuce Vaughn, or if he gets some time, he's going to throw it. You know, he's going to throw it seams across the middle.
Sure.
I mean,
it doesn't make a whole lot of sense there.
I mean, look, that's not to say that they didn't do some good things.
No, they did.
You got rolling on offense. The defense was playing well, but like you said, there were so many just mental, just brain fart moments. I mean, the Tyrese Robinson penalty. And
Which one?
I know everybody saw him getting his ass chewed out by Lincoln Riley.
I have not seen Lincoln chew out a player
You were close
like
to it.
like that.
It was like Mark Mangino to keep Talib on the sideline.
he just absolutely had him have it. And, I mean, as it turns out, what a big play that is.
Yeah. That's the only thing that made the game a game.
Sure. You're up by 10 or you're up by 17, and all of a sudden it's a 6-point game.
I mean, it was incredible. And like you said, that's not the first mistake that Tyrese Robinson made in that game.
No, he had multiple. I think he had 4 penalties today. Him and Chris Murray, those two had a pretty rough afternoon. There's just no other way to say it. They had a rough day.
And you know what? The offensive line played well today. I mean,
for the most part.
They allowed Spencer Rattler time. They opened up running holes for the running backs. But the stupid penalties, it's just like, my God.
Well, how many times can you get the ball like down inside the red zone, and then all of a sudden you're looking up and it's 1st and goal from the 15-yard line or 1st and goal from the 20-yard line?
Yeah, it happened a lot.
I mean, the perfect example was the opening drive.
And, I mean, this week Spencer Rattler kept saving your ass over and over again when that happened.
That's true.
And Drake Stoops saved their ass one time, and I mean,
they were able to get out of it a little bit. It was from just a Spencer Rattler look and the performance that he was able to put together. I don't know any other way that he didn't. I don't know any other way to say it than to say that he took something out of the end of that ball game last week. He looked so much more comfortable. He looked like he's still.
That fourth quarter, you're saying, when he let him down the field.
Right. They still are going to have problems about hitting things and being explosive to a certain extent. But this was the first time all year that I thought that he was very decisive in what he was wanting to do.
Some of those throws that he was making at the end of the last year.
Yeah,
where you're like, I can't believe he fit that in that way.
I think it was the 3rd down to Jaden Hazelwood.
I think there was one to Stogner, too.
Yeah, and he had one to Stogner as well. It's just like, okay, he's letting those guys go make a play. That's a positive. And, you know, obviously with everything that's going to go into this next week, in a trip to the Cotton Bowl that is looming.
Wow.
I mean, I think that, you know, they at least found something that they can take with them and some good vibes, some good mojo.
You think maybe that's partially what Grinch was doing?
Oh, I think there was a little bit of that.
Like, I'm going to go in here and just fire and brimstone.
I think there was a little bit of that, but
Texas is next.
I think he was honestly pretty pissed off about how they played today, because
he's not an actor.
He's
not good at faking that stuff.
You could just tell that he was stewing on the sidelines.
You know how you could tell how mad he was? He gave very short answers in his post-game press conference, which he never does.
Yeah. Well, there was I don't know if it was his brother. I don't know who it was, but there was somebody that like had his arm around him after the game. They're walking up the tunnel, and you know whoever this guy was, you could just tell that like, you know, he's kind of talking his ear off. He was happy, and Oklahoma had won and all this other stuff, and you could just tell that Grinch didn't give a damn what this guy was saying.
Yeah,
he was thinking about something else.
He's thinking about how he needs more depth. I mean, that's kind of what I took out of today's post game with him is. And, you know, they're playing Davion Harmon at corner. I mean, they were just playing guys that they hadn't been playing. So he's at his wit's end. And I'm sure the Harrington situation probably wasn't pleasant for him.
Right.
Because he lost a pretty good player.
Well, I mean, whose fault is that, though? I guess that could be debated on who wanted to move to corner. I mean, I don't think anybody ever thought that was going to work out.
Yeah. Well,
just kind of peculiar.
We kept asking, could he play safety? And I got the sense from all those answers is that Grinch would love to have him at safety, but they promised him a shot at corner.
So you think it was a Justin Harrington thing? It was his decision.
I mean, he was very frustrated. I mean, from the stuff that we heard, he like literally walked out on the team and the facility, like huffed out.
Which, you know, probably for the better if you're going to get something like that out of your program, probably for the better, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just wish that it could have worked out better.
No, there's no doubt about that.
Figured it out.
There's no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, Oklahoma's 5-0, and they're headed to Dallas, and what will be a very big game coming up next weekend.
And you know what? Always trust Vegas. They, I don't know what I believe.
I think the number went off at like 10.5.
So they did not cover.
They did not cover.
And they played like shit to start that game.
As usual.
I mean, trust Vegas.
Well, you just can't bet. Like, I told you last week, it's like Oklahoma is the alumni's worst nightmare. They do not cover. They just don't.
Well, no, if they won by, what was the final score?
36-31? Or 37-31?
I think it was 4 points. I think they were.
No, they won by
4.
6. No, OU?
No, I'm talking Texas.
Oh, whoa.
No, I'd never trust OU to cover anymore.
I thought you were talking about OU.
No.
Yeah, no, they won by 5. They covered. If you got it early,
if you got it at 4.5.
Yeah. 30. What was it? 32-27.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there were so many things going on today. We were trying to get to the game, and but no, I mean,
here, just a quick little preview of the U40 this week. You thought they had problems with Deuce Vaughn out of the backfield catching passes?
Bijan Robinson.
What the hell's Bijan Robinson going to do to that linebacker core?
God.
He might get into the Heisman Trophy conversation by the end of Saturday next week.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's some really big potential issues there.
I mean, it's not good. It's not good. Now, everything's not just terrible right now, but...
I mean, is it a stretch to say that maybe Texas's offensive line will be the worst offensive line they've faced since Tulane? Well, Western Carolina doesn't count.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Even then, it's like you still see a bunch of guys that are just kind of standing around up there. Talking about OU's defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching it, it is frustrating because they think they're good enough to send 4, and sometimes they are, but relying on that. And there were times tonight when Grinch sent extra. And he sent blitzers, and he sent pressure, and Kansas State's line just stood there like a wall and blocked it up. I mean, it was impressive to watch from the press box.
There was also some times, though, that they got through and they were able to get a little bit of pressure on Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, and what the wow, what the fuck? There's no warning or anything. There's no, exit sign. My God. Is this Kansas? Are we still in Kansas?
No, we're back in Oklahoma, so you know the roads are...
OHP? Fix that shit.
Shit.
My God. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
That car in front of us didn't know what to do either.
No. Almost just ran off the side of the road.
Eskridge Lexus dynamic handling package.
Sure.
Probably got to have to get my tires replaced now. OHP.
It was good to see. We support the blue. We love our people of
ODOT. ODOT's the people I'm angry at.
It was good to see Kennedy Brooks start running the ball with a little bit of authority today.
Thank you, Lincoln Riley, for finally calling his number. And I mean, you look at the stat sheet; they kind of tabled Eric Gray. And
yeah,
deservedly so. I mean, you didn't have a lot of possessions. I mean, that was a good call. You did not have a lot of possessions in this game, and you made the decision to give the carries to Kennedy Brooks. I mean, that's what you have to do, Lincoln Riley, and you did. I'm not yelling at you. I am, I guess, but you made the right choice. And I don't want to be the jerk like it's not that. How hard is that? How hard was that? No, you made the right choice. You barely had any possessions in the game today, and you kept scoring because you leaned on Kennedy Brooks.
Is it a matter of just being able to get him on the field? I mean, it seems like Eric Gray's taking quite a few snaps away from Kennedy Brooks.
Well, and I mean, they used a lot of Jeremiah Hall in two-back sets.
Sure.
I mean, I'd have to go back and watch the tape.
It seemed like there was an H-back back there at all the time.
Yeah. And, I mean, Kansas State, man, they were just daring OU to run the ball. The one 28-yarder he had towards the end there where you thought kind of sealed the game away, they were literally playing 5 men in the box.
Yeah. Which is just the ultimate disrespect move, isn't it?
Well, that's the defense that everybody's talking about, the umbrella defense. I mean, like when you watch Iowa State play, they usually have 6 in the box. So I mean, they're forcing you to try and run the ball, and they're trying to defend it with 6 against your 5 or your 6.
Sure.
And their success has been that they've been able to do it most of the time, especially against OU. But I mean, their offensive line did some really good stuff today.
Yeah.
Just the mental part of it.
Yeah, you gotta clean that up. You gotta clean it up. I didn't think that they were just awful by any means, but there were points where it's like they just can't get out of their own way.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the thing that you take from today is that
maybe you found something offensively.
Yeah, your offense feels like it's back or it's coming back.
It definitely feels like it's closer to back than what we thought it was a week ago when they scored 16 points.
This is the best you should feel about your offense since the Cotton Bowl.
Sure.
Because it was really good. And Spencer Rattler was really good.
100%.
I mean, that's the kind of Spencer Rattler, like, I'm not saying that he needs to be forgiven, but if you booed him last weekend,
yeah, he ripped the ball.
You should forgive him.
He ripped a couple. And I think that there's a little bit of confidence there. Like
just you should forgive him. You should realize this isn't all on him. This is on his offensive line. This is on Lincoln Riley. This is on the running game. Because that was an offense that everything at times were clicking. I mean, you were hitting Marvin Mims. You were hitting Jaden Hazelwood. You were hitting Mike Woods. I mean, everybody was sharing in the ball.
No, it was 100% a positive and a step in the right direction for Oklahoma offensively today. I think just getting guys like Marvin Mims going was welcome news.
And good for his father's Twitter fingers.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe they're just appeasing him.
We really, really fought the urge to go interview him before we went.
Yeah, we saw him while we were walking in, and we thought maybe we should just break out the podcast equipment and sit down and kind of figure this thing out.
What is Marvin Sr.? What message would you like to send to Lincoln over the podcast airwaves?
Awesome if he would have. We probably should have done it. Maybe next week. Meet us at the fair.
Maybe we'll just the fair. We'll just go walking around with the podcast equipment.
That would be a festival. It's going to be. I would imagine though, OU Texas next weekend is going to be quite the festival of folks.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm really trying to figure out how we handle the Isaiah Thomas show this week.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have the post game coming up early in the week, kind of wrap up what we saw. Like right now, literally, it's 12:30. We're driving home. We're in Oklahoma. I'll be dropping Eddie off in about an hour and a half, I think.
Yeah, that's about right.
Then you will either go to bed or you'll continue working on video. I don't know which one you'll choose.
I'm going to bed.
And then we'll wake up early and we do this thing all again. Bob's got a couple stories up from the game. Josh has got his grades up from the game. It's a different world we're living in now because we're doing a lot more shit. Now we're in Oklahoma. That wasn't ODOT.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. So.
No, it was. And I guess we can't go this far into the podcast without saying another just excellent Gabe Burkich performance.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, that's really the first game that I remember kind of doing that thing that they do on television where you're kind of mentally looking at where the line is that you have to get to.
Oh, yeah.
To where you know he can kick it. Because
Gabe Burkich enough, though, to take away from the awfulness that was the kickoff return from the Knowles kid and or the near onside lack thereof recovery? I think the special teams unit's going to take a hit this week in the grades. Yeah. And they're not going to be saved by Gabe Burkich again.
Yeah. I mean, what's crazy, did we see a punter only once today?
Yes, and it was Kansas State's.
So one time we saw a punter today.
I believe that's correct.
And I think until they took that timeout, they had to convince themselves that they were going to punt because they were so used to picking up every fourth down.
If it tells you anything about the afternoon, Chris Kleiman went for it on 4th and 14, and they picked it up.
Oh, my God. It's just like, I mean, I'm just sitting there, I'm thinking, like, the disrespect.
I mean, there was 8 minutes left in the third quarter, weren't there? Like, that was early in the third quarter.
Like, he believed he would pick up anything if he had to do it.
Yes.
And that's
Shades
probably
of
why
2017.
Alex Grinch is pissed off.
Yeah, it was shades of 2017 defense. But you had a little bit more confidence in the back of your mind that they were going to be able to get off the field at some point.
They really, before, it wasn't the Mukes bust, but literally, I was sitting next to Kansas State guys, sports writers, and we both agreed, like, I think it was like maybe 30, it was in the 30s to like 17 at that point.
31-17 or 31-14.
Yeah, and I said, you know, if this drive stalls, they should probably get Skylar
They never got to
Thompson
14, so it had to be 17.
Yeah, I think it's 31-17. And I was like, you know, if this drive stalls, they really should get him out.
I got to 34-17 too.
And they were like, yeah, I definitely think that would be the way to go. But then all of a sudden I'll give this up to Kansas State. They just kept finding life. I mean, it was impressive. They didn't quit at all.
No, and I don't think anybody would have expected a Chris Kleiman team too. Like, they're going to get better every week. It's going to be one of those teams that, like, I think that you don't want to play at the end of the year as if they don't run into the injury bug.
But how bad are their other quarterbacks if that's what they chose to put out there today, by the way?
Yeah, probably.
A guy that could not move, yet he was still better than any else on your roster.
Sure. And I think that, you know, that's might be a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, and just as far as how hurt Will Howard was, actually.
Yeah. But a lot of people thought their third stringer was better than Will Howard. Of course,
which is an
if you've seen
indictment
that
on the
shit show for going on 2 years now, you'd think the same thing probably.
He's been, I guess, put into a little bit of a bad spot because he didn't have spring, he didn't have summer. Then he was thrown in there when Skylar got hurt last year. Hasn't really been able to develop, really.
By the way, we want to thank Eskridge Lexus for always taking care of us on the road. I chose to just drive my own car today because Eddie and I were coming down, and to be honest, Eddie, we've never broken in the new car together.
No, it's been pretty good. I think it's been rather comfortable over on this side. Over in the co-captain.
Please?
The
you
what?
Always leave your shit in the door. Will you take that with you?
Well, yeah, I planned on it.
Can we start a new trend where you don't leave your Red Bulls in my car that I find?
There's not a Red Bull in here.
When my car got totaled, the last one, in the cubby hole was a damn Red Bull that had been sitting there for years, probably.
Well, I think that's more on you for never checking on that side of the car.
That's probably true.
I was just contributing to the bottom floor.
So yeah, let's start that new trend where you take the shit with you.
We can do that.
Okay, good. I mean, it's one of those games. It's just like, can we not have anything nice?
It really is. Like, there was a moment where it's like you can finally breathe. Oklahoma's not only are they going to win, they're going to do it in somewhat impressive fashion, but
like, you still went to the store and you got a pretty vase and you put it at your house, and it held flowers, and everybody that came in was like, oh, that's a beautiful vase, but then your kids ruined it and knocked it off the shelf, like, eventually. And you're going to go get another nice vase, and let's see if your kids cannot break this one.
I mean, was there any moment for you in the fourth quarter that you thought, oh my God, they might get beat?
Yes, after they returned the kickoff.
I think after the kickoff return, it was like, that was a moment of,
it was just one of those things.
Holy shit, what is going on here?
You're just like, how bad can they screw this up?
Well, and it hurt even more too, because you're seemingly moving the ball, trying to run out the clock, and then you basically run into another penalty problem, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a hold.
I mean, nothing was going to surprise me. I'll be honest with you. I have a hard time even charting when one play happened over another. So much shit happened today.
Yeah.
And sitting here in a car at
sure
12:37.
It's hard without looking at the game plan or the play-by-play.
Yeah.
But it's
I mean, when they had the kick return, they did the onside. They didn't get it. I think it was Hazelwood that got it at that point.
I think the onside was Marvin Mims. I think Marvin Mims got the final one.
And then it was, they were out of timeouts. It was over.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when everybody started moseying back down to the other end of the field. But
what was funny is, the crowd was great.
Oh, they were awesome.
But they had quit. Like, they were gone.
Oh, yeah. When all
that stuff started happening.
Sure. After OU went down to score at the beginning, I guess it would have been midway through the fourth quarter, it started clearing out, and you thought, okay, everybody's survived. Like, take a deep breath. Everybody's. This is not only a good win. This is maybe a borderline, like a great victory for the way that they were able to, kind of go away winning. But then everything was ruined. Everything was like scrapped after that.
When OU came out and scored those first 2 possessions in the second half, you just thought, okay, they've finally.
Yeah, they've kind of asserted themselves.
They've finally come out and put together a complete.
And then they go right back to.
I think that was when.
That's when Mukes came in, and the first play that he's in there.
Was it 57 yards or something?
They go right at him. And I have to think that was Skylar Thompson saying, "That's my guy."
Yeah.
That's a number that I don't recognize.
Yeah. And he looks too big to be a corner.
Well, he looks a lot more comfortable over there than Harrington did.
Do we know that? Do we ever see Harrington?
Oh, that's touche. That is true. That is true. But at the same time, I don't know. They got to find some answers though, because I don't know if anybody's watched Texas over the last couple of weeks, but it would seem that Casey Thompson has that thing moving in the right direction. Now, I still don't think that TCU is very good defensively.
No, they're not.
And they only put up 32 points, so we'll see. But, you have a chance of getting run out of the Cotton Bowl next week if, this kind of shit doesn't catch your attention.
Well, and it's the question that we continually have, the question that Alex Grinch has and that Lincoln Riley has. Can you build on this? Like,
sure.
You finally have something that you can build on that you haven't had the rest of the season. Like, what you did against Western Carolina does not count.
Right.
There was no adversity. There's no building on that. You struggle against Nebraska. It was a similar version to this one. Like, and Alex Grinch said it the other way. He used an analogy that he didn't think was very good. I thought it was kind of good. He said it's like you're putting out fires all the time, and then you say, "Wow, I'm a really good fireman." Like, that's not the way to look at things. Like, you don't want to start fires. Or,
sure.
I think he said you're starting fires all the time. And then you say to yourself, man, I'm a really good fireman because I can put them out. Like, stop doing it. Stop putting yourself in the position where you have to survive. Like, is this team ever going to learn that lesson? And we can find out next week.
Yeah. Right now, I can't say that they have. And that kind of goes back to, like, what we were talking about in the weeks leading up to this, as far as, like, the mentality of this team doesn't. I know this sounds stupid, so I'm going to just go ahead and get that out there. This is a stupid thing to say. That's why it's hard for me to buy into this team thinking that they can be a, quote-unquote national championship caliber. I know that they are far away from being a national championship caliber squad on the field, but it's like, do they get it between the ears enough to be able to do something like that? And right now, I just don't think that they do.
Yeah.
Hell, we'll take away national championship. Can they win a Big 12 championship? Can this group win a Big 12 championship? I mean, we're going to find out coming up on Saturday, because I think Texas is playing just about as well as anybody in the league right now.
I mean, Oklahoma State's playing really well, beating Baylor
sure.
tonight.
Sure. It just, like, there's just this mental block, though. Like, when you hear stuff that Alex Grinch has to say today, or you hear, some of the stuff that Lincoln Riley said after the game, it just, like, what's the disconnect right now? Like, why are they have they found too much success on the defensive side of the ball and they think that they're hot shit now? It's like, you would think that they would handle success a lot better, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, either that or it's the same problem they always have with Kansas State, and they were fortunate to get out of there with a win.
Sure.
And we'll see against Texas.
Sure.
If they are who we think they are.
That's another one of those games. And
what did Tech hold West Virginia to today?
I don't think 27, I think. 24-27. Which, that's the most surprising outcome of the day for Tech to go up to Morgantown and win this afternoon.
Those poor, tortured people of Morgantown.
It was alumni weekend, too. I would imagine that they did not have a good day.
Man. All right, I think that's going to do it. it was such a weird day. There's hope, but there's also a little bit of despair.
Yeah, it's like one of those things. It's like they gave you a lot of reasons to even I tweeted this out after the first series. It's like, I know that they lost yardage in the grand scheme of things. They had minus yardage after the first series. I liked a lot of what they did though. Like getting the ball to Marvin Mims.
Here's my thing, just dealing with running the Scoop account all day. It's troubling how many people are just targeting individual players.
Yeah.
I think you have to come to the realization that this is all about more than one person here or there.
No, it is. 100%.
You can lump it on coaches if you want to, but it's not just about Spencer Rattler. It's not just, as bad as he was, it's not just about Tyrese Robinson. A lot of today was, but at some point, these guys have to figure it out together, and they kind of started doing that today, and I think that you can stay off of Spencer Rattler's back for a little while, knowing that he's a pretty good quarterback when everything else is working.
Sure.
Like it's supposed to work.
Sure.
Defensively, I still think the linebackers have to take the brunt of the blame right now.
Yeah, they just Carey, I told you walking out of the stadium tonight, I don't know if there's a more disappointing from what my expectations were going into the season than somebody like a David Owegbu. I thought he was going to be incredible.
We all thought he was the NFL talent on this team.
I mean, do you remember the stuff that they were saying back during the spring about Brian Asamoah and the type of spring he had?
Yeah. Well, they also said that Shane Witter was the fastest human being on the team.
Sure. They just, I don't know why they continue to get lost. Would love to talk to Brian Odom. Would love to talk to an assistant coach to talk about, just what he thinks of their overall play, but that'll never happen. So, I don't know. They got to be better, though. They have to be better, or Bijan Robinson will absolutely murder them next week.
Yeah, they'll let him run it 30 times, and he'll run it for 300 yards.
I mean, there's no reason that he shouldn't touch the ball 30, 35 times next week.
Yeah, I mean, look.
I tweeted something else out today, too. It's like, what was Tom Herman doing last year? How did they not get him the ball?
Yeah, they wouldn't play him last year.
Unbelievable.
They just would not put him on the field. They put.
It's like Matt Nagy incompetence. And isn't Tom Herman up in Chicago right now? Maybe that's what his deal is don't play the best player. Maybe that's his mantra.
Maybe Michelle told him to do it.
I miss Michelle. I'm going to miss her next weekend.
All right. I think that's going to do it for this edition of the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast. I've got my flip-flops on now. Now that we're in Oklahoma, I'm feeling good. Ready to get home. Another big day tomorrow. As you're listening to this, I'm sure. Get ready for another edition of the Isaiah Thomas Show. I'm very excited about that.
Make sure you're subscribed.
Get subscribed on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/SoonerScoop. It'll take you right to us. Get subscribed so you know when those next shows drop. I know Isaiah's been very excited about it as well, and planning future episodes and all that. So really proud of the program. Happy that we've got it going now. And plenty more to come. Lots more coverage. It's OU Texas week. You know we're going to have the coverage. So stay with us on Soonerscoop.com. And stay with us right here on the Postgame Podcast, the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast, and the Unofficial 40 Podcast. So until next week, post-Texas, you guys have a great week, and we'll see you then.